What's up, guys? This is Josh with WriteRightRite, bringing you what J.K. Rowling can teach you about writing. So, one of the biggest things Rowling is known for is her classic rags to riches story. She was a recent divorcee, living on welfare and barely managing to cover the rent, a kind of meager existence for herself and her newborn daughter. She'd bring her to cafes and walk her to sleep so she could write while her daughter lay next to her. Harry Potter was rejected by 12 publishers before someone finally agreed to give her a chance, paying her next to nothing, by the way. However, her steadfast dedication to writing through hard times saw her through to the massive success of the Harry Potter franchise. It's become an internationally successful series in both literature and film, and J.K. Rowling now has a shiny net worth of just under $1 billion. So here's some pretty awesome writing tips, actually, from J.K. Rowling on Twitter. This string of tweets between Rowling and her fans unearths some serious nuggets of quality writing advice. She starts it off with this tweet. Pro writing tip. When carrying your open MacBook across the lawn to fetch more tea, do not accidentally activate photo booth. A crazy, wild-eyed crone will appear. Seeing how you look in the throes of inspiration is #terrifying. One follower responded with, "Will you ever show us the photos?" She says, "I didn't press take photo, funnily enough. Some things were not meant for posterity." But some people wondered why she was going to her garden to write on a cold, rainy day. "Why are you even going out on the lawn? Have you got private weather?" someone asked. "Writing room and garden," she responded. So, what can we learn from this conversation? First, she writes in a beautiful garden that probably inspires her. Writing in nature or even writing after a hike or something is a great way to kickstart your creativity. Second, the fact that she interacts with her fans is a solid example for all of us budding writers. There's literally hundreds of reasons to market yourself on social media and interact with your fans, but since that would take ages to cover, I'll leave it at this. Interact with your readers whenever you get the chance. Respond to blog comments, tweets, etc. And it's not just to be nice. Your readers can give you strong feedback, and you may walk away from the conversation with a fresh angle you'd never have experienced if you hadn't taken the time to say hi. Finally, the entire purpose of the original tweet was to inject some personal real-life humor into her fan base. Self-deprecation sounds kind of bad, but it's one of the surest ways to get a good chuckle out of your readers, and it helps them relate with you on a very real level. Now, the next few pieces of writing advice from Rowling are sadly cliche for some people, but I'm including them in this video because it's something every writer desperately needs to succeed. Rowling writes, "You might never fail on the scale I did, but some failure in life is inevitable. It is impossible to live without failing at something, unless you live so cautiously that you might as well not have lived at all, in which case you fail by default. Failure gave me an inner security that I had never attained by passing examinations. Failure taught me things about myself that I could have learned no other way. I discovered that I had a strong will and more discipline than I had suspected. I also found out that I had friends whose value was truly above the price of rubies. As a new writer, heck, as a new anything really, you're going to fail, and you need to be resilient if you want to succeed as a writer in any field." Alright, I think it's about time to delve into the writing itself. Mr. and Mrs. Dursley of number 4 Privet Drive were proud to say that they were perfectly normal. Thank you very much. So, why is this funny? Well, first of all, I'd like to point out that this isn't something that most people would dive split sides laughing at. It's more of a clever tongue-in-cheek sort of line that gives her writing personality and an extra layer of depth. But it is a good bit of humor, and this is why. There's only 2 reasons people laugh. And I mean actually laugh, like genuinely, and not for the sake of being polite or something like that. Surprise and superiority. So try this out. It'll crack you up. See if you can come up with something that's authentically funny that doesn't fall under one of these categories. Let me know, if you can, in the comments below. By superiority, I mean the feeling of superiority that you get when you watch someone do something stupid, for example. something that makes you laugh as you subconsciously weigh them and find them wanting. America's Funniest Home Videos is chock full of these examples. Dumb dad gets whacked in the crotch with a piñata bat, or the skater tripping over nothing, those sorts of things. This line exploits the superiority side of humor as we see the foolish Dursleys in our mind's eye, proud as a peacock at, what? Being normal? Here's another clever piece of dialogue from Hermione. We could have all been killed, or worse, expelled. This falls neatly into the surprise camp of humor, as Hermione, a child, pretty much tells us that she'd literally rather be murdered than lose her education. I suppose it might play into the superiority complex as well, although it's probably much less likely. Surprise plays a key role in this one as well. There are some things you can't share without ending up liking each other, and knocking out a 12-foot mountain troll is one of them. And here's a strong dose of superiority. Just because you have the emotional range of a teaspoon doesn't mean we all have. Here's another thing we can learn from those excerpts. You don't have to be a comedian to successfully wield humor in your writing. The great thing is how surprisingly forgiving it is. If you find something funny, go ahead and give it a whirl. Chances are, unless you're just really socially awkward or something, even if it's not seen as downright hilarious, it'll come across as quirky or maybe even clever. The one area I'd steer clear of is the attacking sort of sarcasm that instantly makes you the bad guy and can make you look somewhat foolish if it doesn't land well. On the other side of that spectrum is the self-deprecating humor we saw earlier in Rowling's Twitter conversation. This is probably the safest place to start, aside from the genre of humor you already know well and are familiar with. To get better at writing humor, read Comedy Writing Secrets. There's probably better books out there on the subject, but this is the only book I've read on comedy writing, and I liked it a lot. Next, we have the deep sort of writing that makes your reader think, which usually makes them feel smart and gives them something smart to share with their friends or on Facebook or something. I'm not going to analyze these one by one because I think the definition I'll share at the end sums it all up pretty well. Ah, music, he said, wiping his eyes. A magic beyond all we do here. I am what I am, and I'm not ashamed. Never be ashamed, my old dad used to say. There's some who will hold it against you, but they're not worth bothering with. But you know, happiness can be found even in the darkest of times, if one only remembers to turn on the light. You sort of start thinking anything's possible if you've got enough nerve. It is our choices, Harry, that show us what we truly are, far more than our abilities. It takes a great deal of bravery to stand up to our enemies, but just as much to stand up to our friends. Which brings us to another great writing tip. Despite the fantasy world setting, J.K. Rowling was still able to write, at least to some degree, from her own experiences. One of the greatest advantages of writing from your own experience is how relatable your writing will be as a result. Not to everyone, but even the people who can't relate 100% will recognize authentic writing when they see it. So it really is a win-win. Now, this might be my favorite quote out of all of them. Words are, in my not-so-humble opinion, our most inexhaustible source of magic. I love that. To me, words are magical. They really are. I mean, they're powerful. They can be inspiring. They can, make you happy. They can make you sad. They can make you angry. All these different things and so much more. And people start wars and they end wars with words. You can change the world with your words, and that's what I love about that quote. Do not pity the dead, Harry. Pity the living, and above all, those who live without love. Fear of a name increases fear of the thing itself. We must not sink beneath our anguish, Harry, but battle on. It matters not what we are born, but what we grow to be. The world is not split into good people and Death Eaters. We all have both light and dark inside of us. What matters is the path we choose to act on. Really, more than anything, these bits of writing are creative observations, which is one of the marks of a great writer. That is, being able to draw from your collection of a unique, inspirational, funny, or perhaps shocking observations and inject them into your writing. I think the most underestimated writing tool is your phone. And this is why. Whether you're already a great writer or you're flopping around awkwardly as a fledgling writer makes no difference. You need to be collecting solid life observations, points of view, and uncommon angles on common subjects. Here's 2 methods to collect those observations. The first and most simple method is to take a note on your phone. You might use Evernote or some other note-taking app, or just email or text yourself. The second method takes more practice, but it's one of my favorite things to do because I love Sherlock Holmes, and also it's just extremely practical. Have you heard of the Mind Palace technique? I really could devote an entire video on the subject, but for time's sake, I'll leave a link to a good source on the technique in the description below. If I forget, call me out on that though. In the shell of a nut, your Mind Palace is simply a memory technique that helps you remember pretty much anything. It's really helped me keep track of my ideas, as well as my inspirations, observations, and other things. And while it's a lot easier than it sounds, it really does feel like a superpower when you get good at it. Alright, that's all I got for you today. Thank you as always. If you like this video, subscribe and smack that like button, and I will see you in the next one. Alright, so let's see here. How does Harry Potter get down a hill? By running. J.K. Rowling. J.K. Rowling. That's good. Oh, snap. You need to... I like that one. These jokes need to stop. I'm serious. I have a pun to Slytherin. What? I like that one. My grandmother was... My grandmother has a long bottom. Oh, jeez. These puns are stupefying. Harry Potter! I've got 20-to-1 odds saying this post will get gilded. Trust me, this is the kind of quality content we love here on Reddit. Yeah, I'd say so. I'd say so. Certainly. Certainly is. Well, yes, certainly is. That was dumb. Dumbledore. I just got that. Oh my gosh. Right, here it is. I'm in the blogging zone. Yeah. Right. No writer's block here, motherfucker. Haha. Yeah. Ready attack, I'm about to break you down fast like a religion. Turn you from vision to flashback in an instant. Calculate precise pictures and it's vivid. Turn your intimidation to timid, I'm in it. Count down to self-destruction. I just wonder your mother when you suffer the repercussion. Clear the path, it's a wrath that's coming through. And you ain't got what it takes, make me break, because I'm harder than you. Yeah, guys, this is Josh with Write Right.